Best ball season is never ending, and drafts are happening right now. Over on Underdog, people with a 102 over 103, they're having to decide, who do they want to take? Do they want to take Cooper Kupp or Jamar Chase? Well, never fear. I'm here with all you need to know about this battle. I'm going to tell you the good and the bad for each player, along with the reasons you should be drafting them.
Round 1.
Chase's ADP is 2.6 and Kupp's 2.9. There's barely anything to separate them. And let's be honest, they're both great players. Over the last 2 years, they've been two of the top wide receivers, and neither of them should be faded entirely. But which of these players should you be leaning to being more heavily exposed to? Let's get into it. Jamar Chase was the wide receiver 5 in half PPR points per game, playing 11 games this year. Missed time with a hip injury that he fully recovered from when he did come back from those missed games. While Chase's best weeks were really good weeks, he did have several poor weeks that left him floundering. Teams no longer took the threat of Jamar Chase lightly and were happy to dedicate large amount of coverage to him. His targets per route increased from 0.22 in 2021 to 0.25 in 2022. But his yards per route dropped from a huge 2.49 down to 2.0 because defenses knew what to expect. Chase wasn't always creating those long, absurd touchdown receptions that he had in 2021 when his yards per reception was 18.1. That regressed to a more conventional and more sustainable 12.0 this year. Doesn't mean he's not going to get those big explosive plays again, but what we're seeing is more sustainable, consistent use. With Chase, it just felt like at times there was more meat on the bone. He was 16th in PFF's receiving grade and 20th in Football Outsiders defense-adjusted yards above replacement. Those are all efficiency metrics in some ways, so you can see that the same kind of efficiency just wasn't there. Importantly, he was 36th in catch rate. Part of that can be explained because he gets those high-value, tough-to-catch downfield targets. And perhaps if the Bengals give Chase easier to catch targets at times, his value could go even higher if he's getting more receptions. It's worth noting that the Bengals can easily cut Tyler Boyd this offseason. Doing that could open up slot snaps for Chase, and we know how often those are layups for targets. We see players like Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson cycle in and out of the slot and get those plus matchups with linebackers. I'm not saying I want Chase to become a slot receiver, but occasionally it would be very good. That catch rate and the nature of his targets led to a very boom or bust season for Chase. 5 performances inside the top 8, but these were nearly all the top 20 performances that he had. When Chase wasn't in the top 8, he was frequently not helping your team, with 46% of his appearances resulting in a wide receiver 20 or worse finish. That's tough to swallow at times, particularly when you've spent such a high draft pick on a player. Chase only had 4 games over 20 points, which is the same amount as Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp missed more games. Whilst you're here, remember to hit like and subscribe buttons. We've got loads more of these ADP battles coming soon, along with lots of rookie content.
Round 2.
We'll move over to Cooper Kupp now. Despite the poor play from Matthew Stafford, who struggled through an elbow injury and concussions behind that awful offensive line, Cooper Kupp was the wide receiver 2 in points per game, which is pretty outstanding when you consider all that. When Cooper Kupp was on the field, the ball was going to him. The only good thing about the Rams offense was Kupp, and his reliability in terms of both catching the ball and turning it yards after the catch kept him ticking over. Kupp had 3.1 fantasy points over expected per game in comparison to Chase's 0.9. In other words, Kupp exceeded expectations based on the targets and receptions he had at a far greater level than Chase. Jamar Chase dominated the Bengals offense this year, with T. Higgins taking a backseat down stretch while Chase frequently saw double digits. And if you're taking Chase at 102 overall, I think you've got to be counting on that to continue. But Cooper Kupp, he doesn't have that level of competition. He only had the ghost of Allen Robinson to compete with, and Tyler Higbee and a bunch of back-end wide receivers who, on certain teams like the Bengals would struggle to get on the field. It's unlikely that the Rams are going to be able to dedicate enough off-season resources to bring in somebody really good that could harm Kupp's production, because they need to spend resources on offensive line, on running back even depth, on defensive players. So it's unlikely they're going to be adding another elite option unless they really get in the bag of tricks. If we compare the two players, you can see that over the last 2 years combined, Kupp has been the better player in almost every category. For me, this fight goes to Cooper Kupp.
Winner!
And I'd be leaning towards slightly more exposure to him in best ball this year. Hit the like and subscribe button. Loads more of these ADP battles coming soon. Loads of rookie content, rookie mock drafts, rookie profiles. It's all coming. Like and subscribe.